Okay, we're on the air. Welcome to another exciting episode of the So Weird podcast. A very special episode.
Yeah, we're doing another live script reading, which have always been so much fun. But now we have even more So Weird fans joining us. So we'll just go down the line, say who we're playing. So I'm Kathy, and I'll be playing Elaine, which is little Danny's mother.
I'm Kat. I'm going to be playing Fee Phillips and Irene Bell.
I'm Zach. I'm going to be the omniscient narrator from on high, as well as Clue.
I'm Sky, and I'm going to be playing Kevin and Rick.
I'm Emily, and I'm going to be playing Molly.
I am So Weird fan for life, and I'll be playing Little Danny.
I'm Shuri, and I'll be playing Carrie.
I'm Patrick, and I'll be playing Jack and Ned.
All right. Once again, thank you all for joining us and taking on these roles. We have some internet problems every now and then, but that's okay. We just keep going. So, yeah, we hope everybody enjoys, and I think it'll be a fun time.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything before we start?
Well, I guess, did we mention the episode we're doing? We're doing Nightmare. Because we unfortunately do not have a copy of the Boo script, but Nightmare is kind of a spooky episode, so we figured it would be fitting for October.
Right, yeah.
And then also a cool thing to note is that this is actually the first draft of Nightmare, so it's not going to be the episode as you remember watching it on TV. There are going to be a little bit of changes in here.
That is correct. All right, is everybody ready to start? Everybody has their scripts prepared in front of them.
Yep.
All righty, let's begin. So Weird, Nightmare. We fade in on a girl child sleeping. As we truck along, we see that she's floating asleep in starry space.
Everybody dreams, but no one really knows why. Most dreams seem to come from a person's most private thoughts, their deepest hopes, and sometimes even their most horrible fears.
Dissolved to a dark, bare room filled with lit and unlit candles. The child uses one candle to light another.
But if our dreams are so very personal, then why do we often dream of people and places we've never seen before?
A young man appears to the child. He takes the candle from the child and uses it to light another. The child and the young man regard each other thoughtfully, kindly.
And what's even stranger, why do some people report having the exact same dream at exactly the same time?
Dissolved to negative image, an old forest. We move through it, looking up at the trees.
Is it possible that the dream world is an actual place, a state of mind that's just as real as the waking world? And if that's true, then who's to say which world is the dream and which is reality?
The negative turns positive. We see the child and the young man strolling hand in hand through a sunlit forest. Fade in on a cemetery during the day. We see Jack in a black suit gazing off out of frame. We pull back and see that he's in a cemetery watching a funeral which is taking place a short distance away. Mourners at the grave begin to leave. Jack approaches the headstone and tries to read the name of the deceased, but he can't make it out. Then Jack hears a voice.
Is this what it's like?
Jack turns and sees a young boy, Danny, about 6 years old, dressed in black and standing next to the headstone. Jack and the boy stare at each other for a moment. Then Jack hears a strange, dissonant sound, the shadow sound. He turns and sees a floating black shadow hovering off at the distance. Suddenly, from Jack's POV, the shadow rushes forward, enveloping the shot. Jack screams as we cut to interior, the bus, Jack and Clue's bedroom at night. Jack wakes up screaming. A dark shape stands above him, jostling him. Jack cowers, pushing the shape away.
Calm down, Spazoid. What's with you?
Jack realizes that the dark shape is Fee. He's in his own room. He was dreaming.
What do you think you're doing?
Mom said to wake you. We're going to be at the Barrett's house soon, so get your gear together.
Fee notices how shaken
what's the
Jack is.
matter? Oh, what's the matter? Was little bitty Jack having a spooky nightmare?
Hey, it's not funny.
All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you.
Fee exits out the door. Jack lays back on his bed, the fear from the dream still in his face. We cut to interior bus living area immediately afterwards. Molly is checking her overhead bag. Clue and Carrie are playing guitars. Irene is talking on her cellular phone. Carrie plays a lead run on the guitar, and Molly notices.
That sounds great, Carrie.
Thanks, Miss P.
You're not sure? We're talking about Molly Phillips appearing in your tiny little club before she moves on to an exclusive NLA engagement. Yet you better talk to your booking agent.
She hangs up and turns to Molly.
I don't know, Molly. We're on such a tight schedule. Maybe we better cancel this trip.
And this meeting your sister? No way. I'm looking forward to getting some serious dirt on you.
Great.
Irene, you're not nervous about seeing Elaine after all these years.
Why should I be? Just because my younger sister has a gorgeous house and exciting career? I've got nothing to be ashamed of. After all, I live on a bus and I have a cell phone surgically attached to my ear.
I see your
Cut to interior Barrett house, living room, later that night. Cue on Elaine Barrett, smiling broadly but oddly.
Irene, you look good.
Wide shot, everyone, Clue, Carrie, Ned, Irene, Molly, Fee, and Jack are in the living room of Elaine and her husband, Kevin. Irene hesitates, wondering if Elaine thinks she's put on weight or grown antennae.
Thanks, Elaine.
Welcome, everyone.
Yes, welcome to our humble home.
The place is huge and very posh. Irene looks up wide-eyed, feeling very tiny in the face of such opulence.
This place is this.
Oh, you think so?
Hey, where's Danny, Anna-Lane?
In bed. He hasn't been sleeping well, so I didn't want to wake him.
So, Carrie, how's college?
Oh, it's good.
It better be for what we're paying.
Angle. Only Molly seems to notice Carrie's awkwardness.
Hey, Uncle Kevin, still got those vintage pinball machines?
Then, hey, why don't we give them the nickel tour?
That'd be great.
All right, let's start with the kitchen. Forgive the mess we just put in an extra freezer.
Everyone follows Elaine into the kitchen. Irene swallows hard. Molly comes up behind her.
Relax. I think you live on a very nice bus.
Jack starts to follow, but he spots a gorgeous upright piano in the corner.
Whoa, sweet.
Jack crosses to the piano and begins plunking a few chords. Suddenly, he hears the shadow sound from his nightmare. He looks up and sees Danny, whom he recognizes as the young boy from his dream. Danny stands just inside the room, staring at Jack. Jack gasps and takes a terrified step backwards. He trips, knocking over an expensive-looking vase. The shadow sound stops. Elaine re-enters, followed by Molly.
Danny, what are you doing up?
I wanted to see Jack.
Are you all right, honey?
I'm fine. I just slipped.
The others re-enter the room. Clue picks up Danny. Hey, Danny boy. Molly examines the broken vase. Oops, sorry, I lost my place there for a second.
Oh, this looks expensive. You have to pay for this.
No, don't even think about it. Look, let me just get Danny back to bed. And
He's awake now. Why don't you just let him stay up?
because we agreed to keep him on a routine.
All he needs is a nightlight.
No night lights. The research says...
The researchers don't know anything about our family.
Look, I'm just trying to help him.
Kevin swallows his next statement, and suddenly a very uncomfortable silence hangs over the room.
Maybe it's better if we all just went to bed.
I'm sorry, everyone. I guess I'm tired too. Come on up. I'll show you your rooms.
And I'll be heading out. I'll pick you guys up day after tomorrow.
Jack stares at Danny. Danny returns his gaze. We hear Ned's goodbyes faintly as the shadow sound is heard in the background.
Sorry I couldn't stay longer.
Next time, buddy.
Fee notices Jack staring fearfully at Danny. Jack sees her watching and turns away, embarrassed. Everyone starts to make their way upstairs. Carrie gathers his bag and Molly gets a moment alone with him.
So, how is college?
Oh, it's great. I love it. I dropped out.
And you haven't told your parents?
They wouldn't understand. I don't want to study business. I want to be a musician.
Have you considered a more practical career? Astronaut? Tsar Russia?
Are you going to tell them?
No, that's your call. Besides, your mother doesn't need the extra stress right now.
Thanks, Mrs. P.
Embarrassed, Carrie heads upstairs. Molly takes a deep breath and follows. Interior, Danny's room, later that night. Close up on Jack. Jack tosses and turns in his sleep. He opens his eyes and notices something amiss. He sits up and finds that he's in a child's room. Odd, eerie toys casting long, strange shadows are placed around the room so that they seem to surround Jack.
Clue? What's going on? Is this a joke?
Jack.
Jack gets up out of bed and goes to the door. He opens it and cautiously steps outside. Cut 2, interior of a hallway. Jack steps out of the room and into the hallway. The atmosphere is disorienting. The angle's askew. The color is wrong somehow. Finally, Jack turns around and jumps with fright. Danny, in his pajamas, stands in the middle of the hallway. The eerie toys surround him.
It's after you too, Jack. It wants us both.
What are you talking about?
Jack hears the shadow sound and turns again. We see only his reaction as something big looms up in front of him, throwing his face into shadows as we cut to Jack and Clue's bedroom. Jack sits upright in bed. Gasping, he checks his surroundings and realizes that he was dreaming again. In the bed next to his, Clue tosses and turns, perhaps having a bad dream of his own. Relieved, Jack lays down again, but then he hears, low and faint, the shadow sound. He stares into the darkness as we cut to interior dining room. Fee, Clue, Molly, Jack, and Carrie are at the table eating breakfast. Jack is asleep at the table.
Jack? Jack!
Jack jumps, opening his eyes.
What? Pancakes, thank you.
Honey, didn't you sleep last night?
He must have had another nightmare.
Another nightmare?
Jack looks daggers at Fee.
It's called minding your own business. Check it out.
What does she mean, Mare?
It was nothing. I was here in the house, yada yada. There are these creepy things all over the place.
Yeah, the toys.
How do you know about that?
I had the dreams too, dude. Oh, and there was this weird, freaky sound, right?
Well, yeah, but
That is so cool. You guys had a convergent dream.
A convergent what?
Convergent dreaming. It's when two or more people have the same dream at the same time. They're pretty rare, but if there's a strong psychic connection between the dreamers.
Mom, do I have to listen to this?
How do you know all about this stuff?
Not having a life leaves her lots of free time. Look, there was nothing psychic about it. It was just a coincidence.
They all turn and see Danny standing in the doorway, listening. Jack jumps with fright. Elaine and Irene enter behind Danny. Kevin follows them in.
Morning, everyone. Sleep well?
Elaine was just showing me the organic garden where she grows her own herbs. We should grow herbs on the bus. We could sprinkle them on our takeout food.
It's such a beautiful day. How about letting Kevin and I spoil the kids with a little shopping spree?
I have to work today.
But it's just for a few hours.
I told you before that I had to work today.
Fine. Do what you have to.
Another awkward silence. Molly breaks the tension.
A trip to mall sounds great. How about it, kids? Let's get ready.
Everyone heads off to get ready. Elaine and Kevin exchange a resentful glance. Danny notices and turns sadly to Jack. Jack turns uncomfortably away to avoid Danny's gaze as we cut to exterior, outdoor mall later that day. Molly, Irene, and Elaine walk along past outdoor displays.
I was 8 and Elaine was 7 at the time. She was throwing this tea party for her dolls, and I brought my favorite ratty old toy bunny, but Elaine wouldn't let it sit at the table.
Oh no.
Molly, that thing was heinous. She dragged it through every mud puddle in the neighborhood.
I threw a fit. I went and hid under a bush for the rest of the afternoon. When I finally came home, Elaine sent me with a ratty bunny, all cleaned up, mended, and resewn.
Well, that was nice of her.
I thought so.
Yeah, but it wasn't my ratty bunny anymore. It was this cleaned up normal bunny with a life. Me and the bunny never got along after that.
He smelled a lot better, though. Oh, look, there's that shoe store I told you about.
Oh, I've shopped till I'm ready to drop.
Do you mind? I'll only be a minute.
Elaine exits, leaving Irene and Molly by themselves.
So, what do you think of Sis?
She's wonderful. She and Kevin seem a little on edge, though.
I know what you mean. And Danny's so quiet. I don't remember him being like that. I hope my perfect sisters got things under control.
Exterior rest area immediately following. Jack sits alone on a bench, lost in thought. Clue, Fee, Carrie, and Danny on Carrie's back come over. What's up, oh antisocial one? Everyone laughs. Danny shyly approaches Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hi, Danny.
Jack stares awkwardly at Danny for a second. Finally,
Hey, anybody want to check out this cool guitar shop I found?
Oh, I saw the place. Classic Axes.
Jack heads off. Carrie follows. Clue notices that Danny remains behind. Hey, Danny, want to come? The boy shakes his head no.
I'll stay with Danny. Go enjoy your boy toys.
Clue shrugs and heads off after Jack and Carrie. Fee sits down next to Danny, who gazes off after Jack.
I don't think Jack likes me.
He's just a little on edge.
Because of the nightmares?
Danny, you know about Jack's nightmares?
Danny shakes his head yes. He hesitates. He decides to confide in her.
There's this monster. It comes when I dream. I try not to hide from it, but lately it's been getting closer. I'm afraid it's gonna get me soon.
Does Jack know about the monster, Danny?
Danny nods yes.
Jack and me sorta dream together. I don't know how it works. The monster's after him too. I hope it doesn't get him. I'm scared, Fee.
Danny hugs Fee. She hugs him back, trying to process what she's just learned. Interior, Barrett house / Fee's bedroom, later that night. Jack and Clue are in Fee's room. Fee brandishes a handful of material she's printed out.
So the kid dreams about monsters. Every kid does.
It's not that simple. I've been doing research on convergent dreaming. They usually occur when someone is under really intense emotional stress.
Like if they're scared?
Like if they're terrified. Danny feels that he's in danger. Maybe he's projecting some of that fear into his dreams. Or maybe there really is some kind of a thing that's trying to get him.
You mean like the boogeyman?
And that concludes this episode of Man Am I Paranoid. If you two squirrels are through hiding nuts, I'm going to go to bed.
Jack, you can't just blow this off. Danny's reaching out to you.
For the last time, Fee, it was just a dream.
Jack exits. What do you think, Fee? Is it some kind of boogeyman?
Doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what Jack and Danny think.
Dissolve 2, interior, Danny's room, later that night. Jack opens his eyes. He looks up and finds that he's in Danny's room again. Jack throws back the covers and gets out of bed as we cut to interior hallway. Jack enters the hallway. The angles and colors are once again all wrong. Jack moves towards the stairway. As he does so, a hand slowly reaches into frame from behind and grabs him by the shoulder. Jack yelps with fright and turns. It's Clue. Dude, this is awesome. We're both totally having the same dream.
I don't remember asking for company.
Jack? Clue?
The boys turn. Fee is now in the hallway with them. Fee, this is too cool.
Danny must be reaching out to me too. I don't think I like it here.
Jack circles around Fee and Clue.
Well, I gotta give myself credit. I have a pretty amazing imagination.
You're not imagining it. Can you feel it? We're all dreaming this at the same time. And I think I'd like to go home now.
Why? The dream's just beginning. How sweet, fresh meat.
Don't fool around like that. What happens in your dreams can have nasty effects in the real world.
Well, that's intense. I wonder what happens if you die in your dreams. Suddenly, the kids hear the shadow sound. They turn and see the shadow creature at the end of the hall, hovering. The kids freeze up with fright. I was, asking that rhetorically. The creature begins to advance towards them. Interior hallway immediately following. The shadow creature moves towards Fee, Jack, and Clue.
Quick, down the stairs.
Fee and Clue turn to rush down the stairway, but Jack stands his ground. Then he moves towards the shadow creature.
Jack, what are you doing?
This is only a dream.
Jack walks up to the creature. It looms over him.
This is only a dream.
An unseen force knocks Jack to the ground hard. Jack tries to get up and is knocked down again.
Okay, that hurt.
Jack!
Fee runs over to help Jack. Clue spots some heavy curtains hanging on the wall. He rips them down. There's only black space outside the window, and advances, placing himself between Jack and the creature. Shoo! Buzz off! Take a hike, you bogus apparition! Clue flings the curtain over the creature. They fall to the floor, leaving the creature nowhere in sight. The hallway silent. Clue turns to Fee and Jack. Cool, mission accomplished. Behind Clue, the creature rises up through the pile of curtains. The shadow sound resumes, louder than ever. Fee pulls Jack to his feet and heads towards the staircase.
Come on.
Interior stairway. The kids frantically make their way down the stairway, but the stairs seem to go on forever. Our angle on the staircase turns and becomes disorienting.
This is no good. Maybe if we tried to wake up.
How are we supposed to do that?
I know. Clue pinches Jack hard.
Ow!
Okay, that didn't work. Somebody pinch me. Suddenly, our angle on the staircase shifts again, tilting to a very steep angle. The kids lose their grip and go sliding down the stairway. Then they are falling, screaming, through dark space. Interior doorway. They land more or less unharmed in a blank limbo-like area. In front of them is a plain paneled door. The kids rise painfully to their feet.
This is the cruddiest dream I've ever had, and it's your fault.
My fault.
You put all these ideas into my head. I've never had dreams like this before.
You can't blame me. I'm just a figment of your stupid imagination, remember?
Whatever you are, do you think we should try the door?
No way. That is such a setup.
I think we should follow the flow of the dream logic. It can't leave us any worse off.
You're so going to regret those words.
Clue reaches for the doorknob. Before he touches it, we hear the shadow sound from behind the door.
See? What did I tell you?
The doorknob begins to turn on its own. Light bleeds through from the other side. The door bursts open in a blast of light and air. The kids scream as we dissolve to interior bedroom. The kids find themselves in a bare, limbo-like room. Expensive paintings and ornate windows seem to hang in midair. In the center of the room is a beautiful king-size bed surrounded by expensive-looking items and appliances. The vase Jack broke in Act 1, a big screen TV, a really nice electric guitar on a stand, perhaps even a gleaming mint-condition motorcycle.
So I'm dreaming about the grandpas on the game show.
I recognize that bed. It's Mr. and Mrs. Barrett's.
That's right. Danny and I were jumping on it the other night. Well, I was. Suddenly, all the appliances come on at once, impossibly loud. The kids hold their ears, staggering around the room. The big screen TV flicks on, showing Jack's face.
It's only a dream. It's only a dream.
Clue spots a window, which he opens. Over here, guys! The kids climb out the window, but they find themselves in the very same room, minus the noise.
Okay, this isn't necessarily a bad thing.
The noise kicks in again. The kids reel in pain. Jack finds a door that wasn't there before, and he opens it.
This way.
The kids leap through the door. They find themselves still in the same room, falling down onto the bed.
I'm getting so sick of this.
The noise kicks in again. The appliances seem to converge on them, not by moving, but by a shift in angles, until the kids seem to be surrounded.
It's getting louder.
I can't take too much more of this. Suddenly, the noise stops. The kids look up. Danny is in the room, the unplugged TV cord in his hand.
Follow me. I know how to hide from it.
Danny drops the cord and lifts up a small door in the floor. Light streams up from below. Danny climbs down into the door. Jack and Clue look up at Fee. She shrugs, not knowing what else to do.
No way am I going down there.
Suit yourself.
Fee climbs down through the door. Fiona climbs down through the door. Clue follows. Jack thinks about it, then scurries down through the door. As we cut to interior, an attic. The kids climb up through a small door in the floor. Danny is waiting for them. The attic is warm, cozy, but with inexplicable elements. A small fountain, a merry-go-round horse, and a large ornate wooden cabinet.
We'll be safe here for a while anyway. This is my hiding place.
Danny crosses to the cabinet and opens it. It's stocked with an assortment of candy and treats. Danny takes a lollipop and puts it in his mouth. Clue comes over. Check it out! Dream candy! Clue stuffs a handful of jelly beans into his mouth. Look, Ma, no cavities!
Danny, what's going on here?
This is my nightmare. You're in it, too. Now. I'm sorry.
Danny crosses to Jack and takes his hand.
I'm sorry. The monster is after you. I hope it wasn't my fault. You can use my hiding place if you want.
Thanks. I don't think that'll be necessary.
We've got to come up with some kind of plan. Do you guys have any idea why this shadow thing is after you?
Maybe it wants us to switch our long-distance service.
This isn't funny, Jack. The monster's after all of us now.
For the last time, there is no monster. This is all a dream. You're all nothing more than a part of my own mind. In fact, I'd love to know which part of me is my annoying sister so I could get it removed.
Dude, you're being uncool.
Forget this. I'm out of here.
Jack grabs a bicycle that's leaning against the wall.
Jack, don't go. The monster will find you.
Fee grabs Jack's arm.
Jack, you're making a big mistake. We've got to stick together.
This is my dream, and I'll go wherever I want.
Jack shakes Fee off and turns. As he does so, we cut to exterior, grassy field, day. Jack suddenly finds himself outside.
Now this is more like it.
He starts riding the bike, enjoying the sunshine. Happy people walk by, waving at him. He waves back. Jack notices that some of the people are dressed in black. He waves again, but they don't wave back this time. Then, Molly walks by, dressed in black. He calls to her.
Mom?
Molly glances up at Jack, but keeps walking. When Jack turns again, he sees that he's at the cemetery where his first nightmare took place. Transition to exterior, a cemetery day. Jack lays the bike down and walks up to the gravestone. He tries again to make out the name on the headstone. Suddenly, he hears the shadow sound again. He tenses up in fear and turns as we cut to interior, a 1980s kitchen, night. From Jack's POV, we see Rick and a younger Molly having a very tense discussion. The shot looks up at them as if Jack were the height of a small child.
Rick, you have this. It's all getting too strange, too dangerous.
I can't. Not with what I know now.
We see recognition in Jack's face as he utters one word.
Dad.
Rick picks up the car keys from the counter. We see Jack react in fear. Rick crosses to Molly.
Don't worry. I know what I'm doing.
He kisses Molly and exits through a screen door in the kitchen. We hear a car start off screen. Jack begins to panic.
Dad, no. Come back.
We cut back to a few seconds earlier. Again, Rick picks up his car keys.
Don't worry. I know what I'm doing.
Again, he kisses Molly and exits through the screen door. Again, we hear the car start off screen.
Dad!
Jack runs after Rick, but he can only move in slow motion. He pulls open the screen door and runs out into darkness. Cut 2, exterior, limbo, night. Jack runs out into the darkness. We hear the shadow sound, mixed with the sound of a car crash. It's deafening. Jack holds his ears and falls to his knees, alone in a pool of light. He cries out,
Dad! Dad!
but he's alone. Jack begins to sob. Fee appears out of the darkness.
He's here? Dad's here in your dreams? In your memories?
I tried to talk to him, but he couldn't hear me.
Fee runs into the darkness, shouting.
Dad? Daddy? Where are you? It's Fee. Daddy, where are you?
It's no good, Fee. He's gone.
Fee crosses back into the light.
You've got to get him back. This could be my only chance. Daddy!
He's gone, Fee.
Jack grabs Fee and holds her tight. She turns and buries her face in Jack's shoulders, weeping.
It's not fair. At least you remember him. I was too young. I never even knew him.
It still hurts when I think about losing him. But you don't even remember him. I guess that can hurt even worse.
Clue and Danny come out of the darkness.
I've always been so scared of losing you or Mom the same way I lost Dad. But I'm not going to let that happen. And I'm not going to let myself be scared anymore.
Jack lets go of Fee and crosses to Danny.
I think I know how to make the creature go away, Danny. I'll help you if you want me to.
Danny appears very frightened, but he takes Jack's hand.
Come on. Let's go find that monster.
Clue remains behind Fee as Jack and Danny walk off into the darkness. Cut 2, interior, staircase. Jack and Danny ascend the stairs. As before, they become impossibly steep. Danny begins to slip.
Jack!
Jack grabs Danny. The perspective continues to tilt until they're faced with a long fall into darkness. Jack grips the rail tightly as he tries to pull Danny up. Finally, they make it to the top landing. Cut 2, interior, hallway. They find themselves in the hallway, which seems to stretch for miles. Sounds of yelling and banging come from the doors of the hall. The doors start to blow open as they pass, rushes of light and air flooding out of each door. Danny panics and starts to run to get past them, but Jack pulls him back.
Danny, no!
In front of them is a deep pit in the floor. Mist and the shadow sound emanate from the pit.
Do you trust me, Danny?
Danny nods, yes. Jack takes Danny's hand, and together they leap over the pit in slow motion as we cut to interior, dream bedroom. They find themselves back in the dream bedroom. Danny shakes his head and shrinks in fear.
We can't stay here. This is where the monster is.
It's all right, Danny. I think we keep ending up here because this is where we're supposed to be.
Gradually, one by one, the appliances and finally the bed vanish, leaving only empty space. We hear the shadow sound as the creature appears in the center of the room, hovering. Danny cowers behind Jack, but Jack steps forward again, yelling angrily.
Stop it! Stop thinking about yourself! Can't you see what you're doing to Danny?
The shadow seems to grow larger, looming over them, the noise growing to a roar.
Tell it you're not afraid, Danny. It's all right. I won't leave you.
Danny takes a step towards the shadow. The shadow looms larger, and Danny takes a step back and looks to Jack.
Tell it, Danny. Tell it you're not afraid.
He hesitates, and then finally,
I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. Stop it. Stop scaring me.
the roar of the monster reaches its peak, and the shadow seems about to envelop Danny. Then, the sound of the creature begins to break up. Jack kneels behind Danny.
Take a good look at what you're afraid of. Don't worry. I'll be right here.
Danny looks into the depths of the shadow creature. He begins to see vague shapes inside the shadow. The sound becomes understandable as we begin to catch words.
Money.
Never enough!
Spend more time with
What do you
him.
want from me?
The shadow sound breaks down into what we now understand to be several different arguments overlapping each other. One argument is about never being home. Another is about always wanting more money. Eventually, the sound resolves down into 5 arguments, then 3, then 2, then just 1. We can hear, and now we see, Kevin and Elaine arguing bitterly.
Do you even want me around anymore?
What does it matter? You're never here for us anyway.
I give you everything you want, and it's never enough, never!
Lower your voice. Danny will hear you.
Finally, Danny runs up to his parents.
Stop it! Stop fighting!
Elaine and Kevin stop arguing. They turn and seem to see Danny for the first time.
I don't want you to go away and leave me. Please stop fighting.
A light grows around Kevin and Elaine, and they begin to fade. The light grows, enveloping the scene as we dissolve to interior, Jack and Clue's bedroom immediately after. Jack opens his eyes and sees that he's in bed. He sits up and pulls back the curtain. Sunshine streams in. Clue is awake too, sitting up in his bed. Whoa, dude, you did it! The door opens. Fee walks in with Danny. Without saying a word, Danny sits on the edge of Jack's bed and puts his hand on his arm, smiling. Fee is smiling as well. Dissolve 2, interior, dining room, later that morning. Fee, Jack, Molly, Carrie, and Danny sit silently at breakfast. Jack finishes buttering Danny's toast. Molly looks around, puzzled by the silence.
So, did everyone sleep okay?
I had a great dream about my big brother.
Fee smiles at Jack, who nods to her. Kevin and Elaine enter from the kitchen, followed by Irene and Clue.
Danny, come here, honey.
Danny gets up from the table as Kevin and Eileen take him into the living room. Irene stands by Molly's chair, her hand on her shoulder. We see and hear the Barretts in the next room, speaking softly.
Danny, Cousin Clue says you've been having nightmares, but everything's going to be okay.
We're gonna get some help, buddy. We promise. You won't ever have to be scared again.
Eileen and Kevin get down on their knees and hug Danny. He hugs them back.
Let's get our stuff, guys. Ned'll be here soon.
Everyone clears out of the dining room. We hold on Elaine, Kevin, and Danny, still hugging. Exterior, Barrett house, later that day. Ned and Clue carry bags onto the bus. Elaine is in front of the house, saying her goodbyes to Irene.
Thanks for your help, Irene, and for clues. I guess we never realized how out of hand everything was getting.
The important thing is to work through the bad stuff and just remember you love each other.
Elaine chokes back tears. She kisses and hugs Irene.
My big sister's very wise. Stay in touch this time.
I'll try, but you know us gypsies.
They laugh, embracing again. Carrie, who's been watching at a distance, turns to Molly.
I've been thinking about what you said, Mrs. P. I'm going to tell my mom and dad about me dropping out of college.
They probably won't like it.
I know, but I've got to be honest with them. Say, would you consider telling them for me?
No.
It was worth a shot.
Carrie climbs onto the bus. Fee, Clue, and Danny exit the house. I'm warning you, Danny boy. You're going to get sick of me calling all the time to see how you're doing.
And of me emailing you.
Not likely, dudes.
Clue and Danny hug, then Fee and Danny. Jack exits the house. Fee and Clue pick up their bags and head towards the bus to give Jack and Danny a moment together.
I know you don't want to talk about it, but thanks again for making this monster go away.
Jack pauses, then nods.
You know, if you ever want to talk or anything, you can always call me too. Sort of like an extra cousin.
Danny hugs Jack. Then he goes and stands by Eileen and Kevin, who are on the sideway near the bus. As Jack moves towards the bus, he impulsively turns and gives Fee, who is standing next to Molly, a gentle hug. Then, as if embarrassed, he lets go and climbs onto the bus. Molly sees this and stares curiously at Fiona. Meanwhile, Molly, Fee, and Irene climb onto the bus. The two families wave as the doors close and the bus pulls away. Cut to interior, the living area of the bus, hours later. Carrie listens as Molly plays the guitar. Irene finishes up a power call on her cell phone.
I thought you'd see it my way. Drop the contacts. We'll talk tomorrow.
Irene hangs
I
up.
love my job.
Everyone
I love
laughs.
my job.
Everyone laughs. Molly begins to play and sing new math. As she sings, we slowly move in close on Jack, sleeping near Molly, a look of peace on his face. Cross dissolve to exterior, a park at day. Where in Jack's dream, we see Rick gazing down at him. He reaches out, smiles, and bends down to pick up a baby, Fee, the girl child from the teaser. They both smile happily at Jack as we fade out. The end.
Good job, everybody.
We've got some actors in our fandom. We're incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't hide my
that's the
reactions.
sort
I
of
was like,
people that's so weird. I think attracts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Everyone
That's
did
right.
great.
Yeah, agreed. Everyone did awesome.
Yeah, you guys are all awesome.
Mhm.
Yes. Thanks to everybody who participated.
Mm.
Yeah.
Thanks for
If
having
you
us.
guys want to maybe talk and like say like I don't know a little bit about yourself or about what you like about So Weird, we can go ahead and do that. Maybe start with Sky and then little Danny and then Cherry and so on.
Yes, this is the obligatory part of the podcast where you get to plug whatever it is you're doing right now.
Oh, that's so sweet of y'all. I mean, I really like the fact that there's this continuity that happens inside of So Weird with the creation of different songs. I mean, it ended with that little new math snippet, which I thought was really cool. I mean, because everybody in my family, so my mom and my dad, people on the So Weird forums probably know this, but my mom and my dad are singer-songwriters. And so I grew up in kind of a very similar situation where I'd hear my parents working on stuff and like loving it and gaining sort of this strange sort of secondhand vocabulary for music. And so music becomes like the shorthand for, you know, all of these really complicated emotions about family, and that's what's So Weird really, I think, embodies so well. Besides being this wonderful paranormal investigation with lots of great heady sci-fi, horror, supernatural stuff, but then there's also just the family drama. I think that's what everybody stays there in the So Weird fandom for, because we just love the Phillips family so much. So yeah, that's and another side note about this first draft. Why are Fee and Jack so mean to each other in this first draft? That's like not what they're like. And that's another reason that I like So Weird so much, is that Fee and Jack and Clue have like a really good, I mean, complicated, but like they, at the end of the day, they really love each other and they don't normally act this way around each other. So I'm glad that they fixed all that up. That's like normal Disney Channel stuff. Oh, all of our siblings hate each other. That's just what family's like, right? It's stupid.
Yeah.
That part about getting his annoying sister removed from his brain, I was like, oh, that's harsh.
Right?
What?
It sounded like something Jack from Family Reunion might say, but not
Yeah,
Jack this far
yeah.
into the show.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Just-
Oh no, you go. You go, little.
No, you go, mister.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, obviously, I really do love this show. What was just so cool for me was that it was a show that I grew up watching, but maybe didn't fully understand when I was a kid. Honestly, if I'm being honest, the parts that I remembered the most as a kid were from like the Annie season for whatever reason. And that just could be because that was when I was oldest. So those are the memories, you know, I have memories from the oldest. Yes. And as Sky said, they ended up playing them more like towards the end. So, but then, you know, it just stayed in my mind. And as like high schooler, I started getting really nostalgic for my childhood and downloaded some episodes from the first two seasons and just couldn't believe how well written it was, how well acted it was, how serious it was at times, how dark it could get, and just remained fascinated with it ever since. I have introduced it to friends before, and they loved it. I I have a dream of like doing a concert of like all the songs, not necessarily a concert where like I sing all the songs, but like I put together a concert of maybe like some like I'm in touch with like the Broadway community, so like I think it would be cool to have like some singers like that like put their own spins on some of the songs because they're just so good. Like it's incredible.
I
just
think
love
the
everything.
fandom has a lot of musicians as well.
Yeah,
Get-
because
Get their contacts as well.
yeah, like Scott said, like I mean, the whole singer-songwriter aspect of Molly's story and how all of those songs kind of interweave with the stories and everything is just so cool. So yeah, it's such a cool show to like nerd out about, and I have been grateful to be included in this little community we got.
Well, I've always wanted to do a Philip Kane band tribute album, and maybe someday we'll have the resources to really pull that off.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's like my dream. Some kind of concert. Like I can imagine like a full orchestra for like Love Is Broken and everything. And I'm just like, oh, in my mind, I can hear it so clearly. But yeah, I love that you brought that up.
Yeah.
I've definitely tweeted John Cooksey about that idea before, and he is all for it if only we could get Disney's permission and Mackenzie Phillips and whoever else on board.
Yes. I love that idea. I'd totally be up for it, and just even if I had to just be in the audience, that would just be enough.
Yeah. For sure.
This show just means so much to me, especially because I remember when I was younger, and my grandma and I didn't agree on too many shows because she was more into like CSI and Law and Order and all that. But whenever So Weird came on, it was just like this weird thing where it's just we both look at each other like, okay, we can watch this. And anytime Disney would like marathon it, because do you remember when Disney used to do that? Especially with like the first 2 seasons, we would just watch it from beginning to end. And even if it was an episode we've already seen, it was just like, who cares? We get to see it again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like the music, just the writing, the directing, just the actors, the actresses, every little thing about this show has stuck with me for years. And I still remember showing somebody in high school because I'm all like, yeah, I used to watch this show So Weird. And, there was actually some episodes up on YouTube at the time. I don't know if there still is. But he would just look at me. I'll never forget this. He looked at me and was like, what is So Weird and why do you love it so much? So I tracked down, like somebody put up the full first season of it, and I'm like, okay, we're watching this. And after the first season, he's like, okay, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's so much easier to access the show because you just have to say, yeah, it's on Disney Plus. You can stream it in HD. You don't have to watch a 240p YouTube upload.
You didn't have to suffer like all of us.
I was babysitting some kids like 10 and 13 years old, and they just would go in their rooms and play video games all the time. But their family had the biggest TV I've ever seen in my life. So I was like, I'm gonna watch So Weird on this TV because back in the day it was these small screens. And then one of the kids comes out and they're like, "What is this?" I was like, "Oh, it's this old show called So Weird." He was like, "Why does it looks weird?" Like he was talking about like the picture like quality. And I said, "Yes, it is an old show," as I said. But it was. I was hoping he would be like, he would start watching it and get like. Intrigued and stuff,
Right.
and then I don't know. I don't think that.
You'll remember it later.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I-
so glad
yeah.
it's on Disney Plus now. I used to have the whole series. I taped it when it was on Disney Channel, and they eventually basically all degraded. I think I have a few episodes left on like a tape. I have to dig it out and find out though.
Yeah. So, how did you guys kind of join in on this little community fandom that we have? Was it the podcast? Was it the old forums that are still going, on that
The
still are
Pro Board
there?
forums.
The forums.
It was the Pro Board forums.
How'd you find it?
In the same way that I found anything about So Weird. I've probably been lurking over all of pre YouTube, Angel Fire, GeoCities fan sites, and so I think I just followed the trail of breadcrumbs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was like searching for either song downloads or episode downloads or something and stumbled upon it. But yeah, when I was making my video for my YouTube channel, Behind the Magic, in case you want to check it out,
I'm going to
that's when I formally like introduced myself to you guys that run the forums, because I had only lurked before. I hadn't like actually posted anything. And you all were just so nice and so welcoming, and so I'm very grateful. Not that I would think that people who are into So Weird would be like mean and be like, "You're not weird enough for this. Like, you can't join us."
I really love how I think also Weird fans have this universal experience of growing up feeling like the only person who remembers the show. And it turns out we were all here all along, and we just needed the internet, like we had, to connect with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I still see people every day who are like, I mean, not every day, but I search for So Weird fans who are talking about it on Twitter or whatever, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about this show," or "Well, I thought I was the only person who watched this," and I'm like, no, we're here, like, come find us.
We exist.
Well, I found it because one day it was just kind of rattling through my head. I'm like, I wonder if there is still a fan community out there for So Weird, and I didn't find the forums. I found the podcast first, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a podcast. What? How? Why? What? And then I saw somehow that there was a Discord server. I'm like, wait, this is real? And at first I'm like, no, this has to be a bunch of trolls who found the name So Weird, found out a little bit of info about it, and just, making some kind of fun of an old Disney show. I'm like, but I'll join
that would be
just to
heartbreaking.
see. And then I saw that it was real. I'm like, oh my god, there's real fans in here, and there's stuff here, and these people are so nice and everything. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna stay here and pop up whenever I can. I'm usually busy, but I try to talk to y'all whenever possible. But I'm just grateful to find other fans and know that they're actually good, decent people. And and well, thank you for welcoming me into your community.
Aw, really
Very
great
welcome.
to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so do we have anything else we want to talk about before wrapping this up?
Oh, what about you,
I think
Cherry?
we have to.
Well, thanks for letting me join in today. And I'm not sure how I got into the podcast. Like, I think I just found it on Twitter. Probably just maybe looking up So Weird or looking for something from one of the people on the show, maybe. And then I'm like, well, I was a huge fan, still am. And I'm like, oh, I'll follow. And I've seen like there's been podcasts, but like I haven't really been able to, like, I've been kind of busy, a lot of things going on. But I was like, you know what? I saw this. I'll see if I can join in. And I've been kind of watching a little bit of the older ones to try to catch up because it's, been on for a bit now.
Right. Yeah. Glad you joined.
Yeah, this has been so great. I love hearing different people's perspectives. I mean, we've talked about the show enough amongst ourselves, but having more people on to just talk about their experiences is always awesome. I always have such a big grin on my face. It just reminds me of how much I love the show, and it's great knowing other people do too.
Mm-hmm. Right. I always
It
try
definitely
to
helps to keep it
recruit
alive.
everyone. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, Sky, you need to come back, or Cherry, you need to come back. But yeah, I did want to remind the listeners about. I don't know if you're new to the podcast or maybe our YouTube channel, but last year we did this really awesome Halloween type of special with the podcast people. And we had people like send in videos of them talking about like who's the scariest villain or like scariest moment in So Weird. And I don't know, it turned out really, really great. Like there's a lot of people that submitted, and I added video to it so it could be kind of like you're watching a special type of thing. So if you haven't seen that, really, really encourage you to see it.
And watch So Weird on Disney Plus. It's in the Hallow Stream section. Finally,
Yes,
they
finally.
advertised it. I mean, it was last year, but now they actually were like, yeah, it really is there. So
Yeah, the show got a shout out from its corporate paymasters.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And the actors do get checks from it. So, if you want to support them even a little bit, watch it on the Real Deal Disney Plus.
And you can see it in actual high quality and not suffer through VHS bootlegs like we used to, which is always a good thing. And you can go back and watch Nightmare and compare it to the script reading we just did, because there are a lot of differences in there. And I feel like we have to talk about how in the original draft, we did not have Molly reading Cosmo. That was something
That was the best
line.
part.
Yeah.
You share that dream with that special someone.
I like that. I like that they changed that, because it gave someone else the opportunity to explain what the episode was going to be about, instead of it just being Fee
Right.
again.
Mm-hmm.
And then that
gave
also
some
took away the
variety.
tension between Jack and Fee. That seems a little bit too much for them this episode. Like we
Right.
saw in this first draft, like they were really at each other's throat.
Right.
Yeah. I think it also gave some more, character to Molly, some more like juiciness of like, oh, okay, Molly.
And like she also gets to have a really much nicer moment, I think, with Carrie, like, because like why wouldn't she understand the music thing? And inside the fully produced one, she understands his pain, but just doesn't want him to be dishonest about quitting college.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and of course, reading the script now, like anytime there was a Molly Carrie scene, it's just like, oh, well, obviously there's an incredible sexual tension here, and so good on our actors, on our Carrie and Molly for bringing that through in your performances. I really appreciate it.
I tried.
Are you trying to tell me that she wants to have a convergent dream with him?
Uh-oh.
It's your interpretation.
Yeah.
And on that note, all right. Are we wrapping this up? We want to go a little longer, or
I don't know. Anyone in the audience have anything to say? Thank you for listening.
Oh yeah, I haven't even looking at the live feed on YouTube. What has anybody been saying anything?
Yeah.
There is so Derek, who was originally in here, he was like, yikes, the way Sky was raising his voice nearly insinuates Kevin was more than just verbally abusive.
Well, I mean, like, think about it. So they named him Danny, like Danny Torrance from The Shining.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's what I always thought of too.
Which, I mean, The Shining really implicates that Mr. Torrance is an abuser. So, yeah. Anyway.
Wow.
Never even made that connection before.
No.
How interesting.
Whoa.
And I mean, if you kind of think about it, like, yes, a child. Well, I mean, the kid is supposed to be, I think, like 6. The shadow monster would come because it's like, intense stress, and it's like parents yelling, is that really intense stress? Maybe there's a little more. So
Oh yeah.
It's a Disney Channel show. We can't
Exactly.
get too
They are-
intense.
so it's like
Far as you can imagine, like this is like more than you'd ever expect on Disney Channel to begin with.
true.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Kevin does. I think when I watched it, like rewatched it for the first time, I was like, oh, whoa, Kevin's like really yelling at her. Like he's got some anger issues there.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Betsy asked if we're doing a stream for the 31st. I don't know what kind of stream. What kind of stream?
Yeah, so I usually do some live stream on YouTube of showing some So Weird episodes. It just depends. That's all what I can say. It's a Sunday, so I probably won't be doing anything, but I'll let y'all know.
Okay.
Thanks again for having us. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun
Super
here.
duper fun.
Happy
So glad
Awesome.
everyone made it. Mhm.
Yeah.
And thanks to everybody who's been listening. I know my girlfriend is listening. She's been messaging me on Discord saying like, "Umga, you should be a voice actor." Anyway, all right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. You have been listening to this very special episode of the So Weird podcast. Thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you to all our wonderful actors who joined us on this. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And then also all the people who showed up for the live stream.
Yes, of course, of course.
Just
Bye.
yeah, I'm so happy I got to be a part of this finally.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
David, if you're still watching, thank you for listening. I know you were messaging me throughout this thing.
Hmm.
A friend of mine.
Okay. All righty. Well, yeah, okay. And keep the faith.
Keep the
Yes.
faith.
Yes.
Keep the faith.
Always.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.